In today's video, I'm going to be talking about the highly sensitive person and how this issue can relate to chronic exhaustive conditions such as ME, chronic fatigue, long COVID, and fibromyalgia. So, if you're watching this video, you may feel that you could possibly be a highly sensitive person, or perhaps you're struggling with fatigue right now and you'd like to find out more about the connection. So I'm Wendy Day, I'm a wellbeing coach and I specialise in supporting recovery from these chronic exhaustive conditions. So when I work with my clients, I always try to help them to build awareness of where they might be losing energy, where they might be draining energy in different areas of their life. So one of the things that I always look at is whether they could be highly sensitive. So Elaine Aron wrote a book in 1999 called The Highly Sensitive Person. And in this book, she identified different traits that people have that makes them highly sensitive. And if you go onto her website, which I'll put into the notes on this video, you'll see there are 23 questions there you can have a look at. So finding out that I was a highly sensitive person was really a game changer for me in my recovery from chronic fatigue, because I was completely unaware that I was draining energy in all different ways, which was contributing to my fatigue. And once I started to understand myself better and understand my needs as a highly sensitive person, I was able to change the way that I was being, the way that I was going about things. And this had a really big impact on my energy levels. So it's really useful to know if this relates to you. And I'd love to know whether this video resonates with you at all. So please do drop a comment into the comment box if you would like to say something about this or ask any questions. So I'm just going to run through some of the sorts of things that are in Elaine Aron's book and in her tests. So the different ways that we can be highly sensitive. So I was always sensitive to things in my external environment, such as dust, pollens, pet hairs, chemicals, strong perfumes, things like this. I've always felt uncomfortable around and had problems with. But what I discovered is there were other ways that I was highly sensitive. So, for example, to loud noises, to bright lights, and all the different ways in which our senses can be very sensitive. Some people find fabrics are a big issue, and perhaps you're someone that is quite particular about what you wear, and we all hate that itchy label in our clothes, but it might go beyond that. You might be really kind of particular about what kind of fabrics you wear and what you feel comfortable in. And fabrics that don't suit you could really stress you out. And another thing that is really important is emotional sensitivity. So perhaps you're someone that finds criticism really hard to take. Perhaps you find you're very sensitive to other people's emotions and you're in tune with what they might be feeling. Some people can even pick up other people's emotions and feel them as their own, or even other people's physical pain. So there's all these different ways that we can be highly sensitive, and there are actually gene variants that are involved here. So it's not just a gimmick, it's a real thing in our biology. So, for example, there's a gene called 5-HTT-LPR, which is related to the way our serotonin is transported in our brain. There's also other gene variants around dopamine, which mean that highly sensitive people get rewarded at a much lower level of dopamine than a typical person. So that means that we can get overstimulated much more easily. So I wonder if you find that you can't watch a lot of screen time, perhaps, or you find it difficult to sleep because your nervous system is very overstimulated. It might be that your partner is fine watching TV until right before bed, or they can watch violent shows and some things that are just too much for you, perhaps emotionally as well. So around 20% or so of the population is highly sensitive and has these gene variants. So it can be very common to notice that you maybe can't manage things that other people can, and you're wondering why they affect you and other people aren't affected by them. So another thing can be that highly sensitive people find it difficult to be around chaotic environments, or a lot of change, or a lot of things happening all at once, multitasking. can be quite challenging for our brains. And there is an overlap here with neurodivergence as well, and some of the difficulties that people struggle with if they're neurodivergent. So it's really important to learn about this, because once we understand our needs, we can make decisions about doing things differently in a way that will protect our energy and stop us from being drained. So, for example, if you have a friend that is incredibly draining, um, and talks about very heavy emotional stuff, you might be really affected by that because you're emotionally very sensitive. So, of course, highly sensitive people make fantastic listeners, counselors, therapists, and often go into caring professions such as teaching, nursing, and things like this. But we can burn out very easily because we haven't always got our boundaries in place. Sometimes there can be people pleasing involved, and we really need to be careful around this. Some people who are highly sensitive are very creative. In fact, most people are, because we're very attuned to the beauty in things. So we might want to be involved in the arts. We might see small details and feel very moved by music or art or dance and things like that. So very often people with fatigue will come to sessions working in a corporate setting, for example, perhaps in an office with a lot of bright lights, or in retail, and being around other people all day long. Very often, highly sensitive people are also introverted. So that means that being around others all the time is very draining. So it's really important to think about the environment that you're in and whether it suits you, because we spend a lot of our day at work. So sometimes people need to consider making a change of career or putting boundaries in place to protect their energy. So as I said, a lot of the time clients aren't even aware of what their needs are, and they can be pushing themselves and overgiving in all kinds of ways. And this is a really good area to do work on in sessions when I'm working with people, because it can provide a lot of opportunity for making changes that will help you to regain your energy and start to get your energy levels back into balance. So as I said, I always ask my clients to have a look at this test if they're struggling with their energy levels, because it can be a really useful area to look at and do some work in our sessions. If you'd like to book a discovery call with me to find out more about this, you can do that using the link below. It's 30-minute free discovery call with no obligation. If you'd like to book a session with me, please do go to my website, wendydaywellbeing.co.uk, where you can find out more and contact me. And you can follow me on Instagram and Facebook at Wendy Day Wellbeing. I hope you've found this video helpful. I'm going to be sharing a lot more information on YouTube about ways in which you can start to make changes to improve your energy levels and overcome fatigue. And I'll share with you a lot more about how I recovered from chronic fatigue after 8 years. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.